Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to start the new subject which is Digital Electronics, which is DE. Many students are facing some problem with this subject, so I'm going to explain without any confusion in easy manner. First, let's see the syllabus. So this is the syllabus. So these are the 5 units. In the first unit is the number system. I'm going to explain with detailed examples and easily so that you can understand very easy. And many students నాకు DM చేశారు ఈ సబ్జెక్ట్ ని టీచ్ చేయమని, so that I'm taking this subject. So let's start with the first unit, which is number system. So in this video I'm going to cover the introduction to the digital systems and the binary numbers. So before going into the subject, first you have to understand what is the analog and digital electronics. సో మీరు డిజిటల్ ఎలక్ట్రానిక్స్లో సబ్జెక్ట్లోకి వెళ్ళాలంటే సమ్ బేసిక్స్, సమ్ ఇంట్రొడక్షన్ మీకు తెలియాలి, సో దట్ యూ కెన్ అండర్స్టాండ్ ఈచ్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీ టర్మ్స్. సో ఫస్ట్ లెట్స్ అండర్స్టాండ్ వాట్ ఈస్ ద అనలాగ్ ఎలక్ట్రానిక్స్. Analog electronics uses the continuous signals, whereas the digital electronics uses the discrete signals. So if you see here, you can okay, this analog electronics uses the continuous signals to represent and process the information. To process the data or the information, they will be using the continuous signals. So these systems are often used in applications where a continuous range of values is required, such as radio, audio equipments, and in the control systems. So into our day-to-day life, we'll be using the audio and video and radio. So in these systems, we will be using the analog electronics. And we'll use analog electronics for some components like a resistor or a capacitor, inductor or transistor, hypojunction transistor or wind effect transistors. These are some components where we'll be using this analog electronics, so to use for the amplification. See, like whenever you are giving some input to the analog electronics, or it may be the analog device, so the nature of the output will be in the form of analog only. Okay, so based on your analog electronics, you are going to connect the passive, or it may be the passive or active elements. Okay, so what is the main disadvantage in this analog electronics is accuracy will be less as compared to digital electronics. In the analog electronics, accuracy will be less. So to improve the accuracy or to increase the accuracy, we'll be moving to the digital electronics. So that we'll be preferring digital electronics rather than the analog electronics. Why? Because accuracy is very less in the analog electronics. Now you understood how the digital electronics are important. Now let's understand what is the digital electronics. So digital electronics uses the discrete signals to represent or process the information. For examples like mobile phones and TVs, laptops, PCs, these will be having the discrete signals. So these will be processing the data with the high degree. Understand very carefully. If the input is analog signal also, first we have to convert the analog format, like analog signal, into the digital format. So with this digital format has a two valued function, which is 0 or the 1. So we need to process the information of the data using some digital techniques. So after the processing is completed of the data, like after processing the data, we need to transmit these data which we have processed through the channels. So that we can say that digital electronics preferred for ability to store and transmit the data with high degree of accuracy, so that the accuracy will be increases in the digital electronics as compared to analog electronics. And the digital systems which are there are made up of some components like transistor, gates, and which are used for the manipulating the binary data. So now in this digital electronics, the complexity is reduced. Why? Because by just dividing the modules into the smaller modules. So we have modules, we have to divide that modules into the smaller modules, and those which divided smaller modules are designed using your Boolean logical function. So by this the complexity will be reduced. Why? Because we have to divide the modules into the smaller modules. Again, these smaller modules which was divided is designed using the Boolean logical function, so that the complexity is reduced and accuracy will be more. So that we'll be preferring the digital electronics rather than the analog electronics. I think now you understood what is the advantage of the digital electronics and what is the disadvantage of analog electronics and what is the difference between the both electronics. Now let's see the applications of the digital electronics, which is digital computers, like in the our general purposes, and many scientific and industrial and commercial applications, and digital systems, which is telephone switching exchange, and digital camera, like to capture the photos or the videos. So in electronic calculators and digital TVs, and in discrete information processing systems, like to manipulate the discrete elements or of information, like it can be in the numerical form or alphabetical form, like special symbols, or in the form of a numerical characters like 1 2 3 and ABC, like that, so on. Now let's understand what is a digital system. So which I said before, only the digital system, so it is an interaction among the digital computers and the modules, like which will be giving the complex outputs with the simple design techniques. With the simple design techniques, will be getting the complex output. So what is the best example is the general purpose computers. So why it is the best example is like a general purpose computer is like it is the interconnection module of, like we can say, CPU and arithmetical logical unit or control unit or memory unit, registers, input output units. So if you interconnect these components which I said earlier, so then it will be known as a general purpose computer. సో లైక్ నార్మల్గా మనకి లైక్ సిపియూ ఉంటుంది, మెమరీ యూనిట్, ఇన్పుట్ అవుట్పుట్ యూనిట్స్, లైక్ కొన్ని కాంపోనెంట్స్ ఉంటాయి. సో ఈ కాంపోనెంట్స్ని మనం ఇంటర్ కనెక్ట్ చేస్తే మనకు వచ్చేది జనరల్ పర్పస్ కంప్యూటర్. ఓకేనా? So to design those small modules to connect the large digital system, we are going to use some techniques which is called as a logical design. Okay, logic design. So, what is the logical design, which deals with the basic concepts and tools used to design the digital hardware consisting of the logical circuits, which I said earlier, which is used to design the smaller modules for the, like to connect the big and large digital systems. Okay, to connect the big computer, we are using the small modules like a CPU unit and input output unit, like that. Okay, relate this thing with the real time example so that you can get to know the point. So, like connecting these small modules, we are going to design the digital system, large digital system. So, by connecting those digital models, it can perform the arithmetical operations along with that logical operations and perform the complex functions also. So, this is about the logical design and the digital function, digital system. Okay, I think you got the point. So the next one is the binary digital signal. So an information variable represented by the physical quantity. For digital systems, the variable takes on discrete values, which I said before, only the digital system, like digital electronics, will be having the discrete signals. Okay, it will be having the discrete values and discrete signals. So two levels or the binary values are the most prevalent values. So binary values are represented by, it may be like in the digits like 0 and 1, or it may be in the form of a words like symbols, like false means F, true means T, or it may be in the words symbols like low means L, H means high, like on off. So 0 1 like digits లో అయినా ఉండొచ్చు, like false true, true or false, T F అలా అయినా రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తారు, or low high L T in the shortcut, or on or off in that way. So the binary values are defined with the digits 0 or the 1. So simply to say, so this is the example. So here it is a 0 at nothing position. So this is from the 0 to it is increased to 1. So logic 0 and logic, here the logic 1. So next one is a number system. Now let's start with our first topic, which is number system. So the basic number system used by humans is decimal number system. You all know what is the decimal number system. So by humans we'll be using this decimal number system. The basic number system is this. So the number system is defined with like base or the radix. If you see this expansion, So dn minus 1, dn minus 2, so on till d0 dot d1, d minus 1, d minus 2, so on till d minus m. So dn is nothing but the highest positional weight. Okay, d minus m is the least positional weight. So in short, we can say for D, N is nothing but the most significant digit. So in short, like MSG. Similarly, for D minus M is the least significant digit, which is LSG. So remember these names. So what is the base power? Base power is nothing but the each number system is defined with the base or the radix, which I said before. So it is symbolized like a number of unique symbols, okay, which we'll be seeing further. ఇక్కడ మీరు చూస్తే ఇక్కడ డాట్ అనేది ఉంది అంటే లైక్ రైట్ సైడ్ ని లెఫ్ట్ సైడ్ ని సపరేట్ చేయడానికి మనకి ఒక డాట్ అనేది ఉంది. సో వాట్ ఈస్ ద మీనింగ్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ డాట్? ఇట్ ఈస్ నథింగ్ బట్ ద రాడిక్స్ పాయింట్. So the elements which are there right to this dot is nothing but the fractional point, and the elements which are there to this dot like right side to this dot is nothing but the integral point. So this dot will be differentiate between the integral point and the fractional point. I think you got the clarity. So ఈ సైడ్ లో ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయి లైక్ మీకు సో కలర్స్ తో రిప్రజెంట్ చేసాను సో దట్ మీకు డిఫరెన్స్ అనేది అర్థమవుతుందని. సో ఈ పింక్ కలర్ తో ఏదైతే హైలైట్ చేశానో దాన్ని ఇంటిగ్రేటెడ్ పార్ట్ అంటాము. బ్లూ కలర్ తో హైలైట్ చేసింది ఏంటంటే ఫ్రాక్షనల్ పార్ట్. సో ఈ ఇంటిగ్రేటెడ్ పార్ట్ అండ్ ద ఫ్రాక్షనల్ పార్ట్ ని డిఫరెన్షియేట్ చేసేది ఈ డాట్. సో ఈ డాట్ ని మనం ఏమంటామంటే రాడిక్స్ పాయింట్ అంటాం. సో దిస్ డాట్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ బట్ ద రాడిక్స్ పాయింట్. సో ఏదైతే పింక్ కలర్ తో హైలైట్ చేసిన ఇంటిగ్రేటెడ్ పార్ట్ ఉందో లైక్ ఇంటిగ్రేటెడ్ పార్ట్ పొజిషనల్ వెయిట్ అనేది పాజిటివ్ ఉంటుంది. ఇక్కడ మీరు చూస్తే అన్ని పాజిటివ్ డిజిట్స్ ఉన్నాయి ఇక్కడ. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ అన్ని పాజిటివ్ డిజిట్స్ ఉన్నాయి, ఇక్కడ అన్ని నెగిటివ్ డిజిట్స్ ఉన్నాయి. సో సిమిలర్లీ లైక్ ఈ ఫ్రాక్షనల్ పార్ట్ పొజిషనల్ వెయిట్ లో అన్ని నెగిటివ్ పొజిషనల్ వెయిట్స్ ఉంటాయి అన్నమాట. ఓకేనా, విత్ కరస్పాండింగ్ టు ద బేస్. సో మీకు ఇది అర్థమైందనే అనుకుంటున్నాను. సో ఇది గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి, ఇట్స్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. సో మీరు ఒకవేళ ఎగ్జామినేషన్లో నెంబర్ సిస్టమ్ గురించి వాళ్ళు అడిగితే మీరు ఈ ఎక్స్పాన్షన్ అనేది పక్కా రాయాలి. ఓకేనా. సో నెక్స్ట్ ఎక్స్పాన్షన్ చూస్తే ఇక్కడ ఏంటంటే dn is placed at the rn position. So if you see here, dn is placed at rn position. Similarly, dn minus 1 is placed at rn minus 1 position. So on like that. So r is include like r is multiplied to each position. అంటే ఏం లే లైక్ వీఆర్ ఇంటిగ్రేటింగ్ ద dn విత్ సిగ్నిఫికెంట్ టు ద rn. ఓకేనా. లైక్ dn minus 1 ఇప్పుడు dn ఎలా అయితే సిగ్నిఫికెంట్ rn తోనో అలానే dn minus 1 dn minus 2 అలా. సో dn minus 1 is significant. It is placed at rn minus 1. If you see here, so dn minus 1 is significant which rn minus 1 is placed. Okay, so rn minus 1 అంటే ఏంటి? It's positional weight of the n minus 1. So rn minus 1, n minus 1 అంటే దాని యొక్క పొజిషనల్ వెయిట్ అన్నమాట. సో ఈ లెఫ్ట్ సైడ్ ఏదైతే ఉందో సేమ్ సిమిలర్లీ రైట్ సైడ్ కూడా అంటే ఫ్రాక్షనల్ పార్ట్ లో కూడా సేమ్ అలానే పొజిషన్ ఆఫ్ ద d minus 1 is placed at the r minus 1. ఇక్కడ చూస్తే మీకు క్లియర్ గా అర్థం అవుతుంది. d minus 1, this position is placed at the r minus 1. Similarly, d minus 2 is placed at the r minus 2. So until d minus m is placed at r minus m. So this whole is equals to y. So what is y? It is the value of entire number. So r is represented as radix. So and dn is the value of the nth digit. Nth digit, n minus 1th digit, n minus 2th digit atla. So మళ్ళీ చెప్తున్నాను, dn అంటే it is the most significant digit which is MSD, and d minus m అంటే least significant digit which is LSD. MSD, LSD. So this is MSD and this is LSD. And the MSD is the integral part and LSD is the fractional part. So this fractional part will be having the negative elements, and this MSD which is integral part will be having all the positive digits like positive elements. సో ఐ థింక్ మీకు ఈ నెంబర్ సిస్టమ్ అంటే ఏంటి, అనలాగ్ అండ్ డిజిటల్ ఎలక్ట్రానిక్స్ దీని గురించి మీకు క్లియర్గా అర్థమైంది అనుకుంటున్నా. స్టిల్ మీకు ఇంకా ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉంటే కమెంట్ సెక్షన్లో మెన్షన్ చేయండి. డెఫినెట్గా ఐ విల్ ట్రై టు సాల్వ్ యువర్ డౌట్స్. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Let's meet in the next video.